let's go back to the replacement refs. And here's the thing. The NFL, if they care so much about the precious fans, which at this point I'm becoming less of a fan because of how ridiculous these teams are, or because of how ridiculous these refs are. So I don't get how the NFL can let us watch as these idiots make these important calls that could impact a team's season. It wasn't a big deal in the preseason. I didn't really care about it in the preseason. But the fact that they're going to start week 2, and I think that they'll start longer than that personally. I think that they'll start I think they could start the entire season even, because the referees have just stopped talking with the NFL. They had a meeting today, they ended it, and there are no new meetings scheduled. So I don't understand why the NFL would let them do this. Give the refs what they want, but on the other hand, the refs need to get their heads out of their you-know-what. I don't get that. I don't get what their deal is there, because it's just I don't understand what the refs want and why they're being such girls about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. So we do have one question from Michael in New York. How do you expect the New York Giants to do against the Dallas Cowboys on Wednesday? Obviously, you've got the Super Bowl champions going up against in a key divisional matchup to start the season. That's a pretty good matchup. I don't think that the Giants will have a great season. I think that they'll go 9-7 and probably miss the playoffs. But I also think that the Giants will pull it off against the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, they're a good team. They've been a good team. But are they really as elite as people are saying? Because the Cowboys have had high expectations every single year, and they haven't followed through. And it doesn't look like they will. So I don't get how they can do that. How you can think that the Cowboys are going to pull through against the Giants when they don't pull through against anything. It's just, the Giants are a better team, hands down. The Giants have more talent. They've got a better quarterback. In my opinion, a lot of people might say, Eli Manning's a better quarterback than Tony Romo. But I talked about Tony Romo a lot on my last show. I had a little bit of an argument with somebody who was commenting. But I don't know. I don't think that the Cowboys can beat the Giants on Wednesday. I don't think that either of the teams are going to make the playoffs. I think the Eagles will take that division easily. But I don't see the Cowboys beating the Giants. We have one more question from Michael in New York. What about Hakeem Nicks? Will he start? Will he play, or won't he? Well, I'm looking at the injury report right now, and it says he will. It says he's probable. He's probable for the coming season opener in 2 days, and I don't see why he shouldn't be. I think that he's got a foot problem. He's got something going on in his foot, but I think he'll be fine. I think he'll play the regular season, and he'll have a good regular season. And Hakeem Nicks is a key piece for the Giants this year, simply because he's the new receiver. I mean, obviously Victor Cruz, but they also Mario Manningham's in San Francisco now. They don't have Manningham, who used to be their number 1 or number 2 receiver. So Hakeem Nicks really needs to step it up this year, and I think he needs to stay healthy. I think if he doesn't stay healthy, it's not going to be good for it obviously won't be good for the Giants, but it won't be good for Hakeem Nicks' career either, simply because the Giants need him more than ever right now. So, I think that Hakeem Nicks needs to stay healthy this year. We've got one more question here. There have been several tight ends released this week in the NFL. What do you think about that? It's really what the team needs, and I don't have much of an opinion on that because the tight ends, if the tight ends are released, that's fine, but I don't know that I don't really know that it's that big a deal. If the team doesn't need him, then why should they keep him? That's my personal theory, and that's really the bottom line. So we're gonna take one more short break, and then I'm gonna finish up talking about the replacement refs, and then we're gonna go on to my top 10. So I'm gonna give you the number one more time before we go to break. It's 312-550-3914, 312-550-3914. So please text in and call in, and we'll be right back here on In the Pocket. And we are back here, and I just want to real quickly talk again about the tight ends. The Seahawks released Kellen Winslow, and I don't think that's a fine move. I think that Kellen Winslow's a good veteran, but you know what? He's not for the Seahawks. He's not their guy, and that's fine. So I think the Seahawks made a fine move there. They cleared some cap space. Maybe they're looking to make another move. So I think that if their team doesn't need the tight end, then why keep him on your team? Bottom line. We have one more question from Augie in Chicago. Who do I think is the best rookie this year? Well, I've got to say Robert Griffin III. And, I talked about him earlier, and I know it's kind of a boring response, but, you know what? It's true. He's got so much overall talent. I mean, I'm biased towards dual threat quarterbacks. I love the dual threat quarterbacks. I love the West Coast offense. I think that both of those. I think it's a great offense, and it's a great type of quarterback. I think that Robert Griffin III has a promising career, but if I were to pick, if I were to pick a dark horse rookie, a best rookie of the year, I'd have to go with, and he hasn't come up in talks, but he's been great in the preseason, the Chicago Bears rookie wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey. He's had great stats over the preseason, and he's been very productive for the Bears, and he's going to be a major upgrade for Chicago, who has struggled with their wide receivers. So if I weren't to pick either Robert Griffin III or Andrew Luck, I'd probably have to go with Alshon Jeffrey. He was great. He was very good in college. He's, I think he's very good. I think that he could be huge for the Bears. We've got one more question from Augie in Chicago. What do you think about Peyton Manning's comeback? And I'm going to go real quick on that one because I'm actually going to be talking about that a lot. I'll be doing a more extensive thing on that towards the end of the show. because he may or may not be in my top 10 quarterbacks list. So I will definitely keep you posted on that. I'll talk about Peyton Manning more towards the end of the show. So, back to the replacement refs. I'm going to real quickly finish up that segment and then move on to my top 10 quarterbacks. Hands down, the replacement refs is the most awful thing in the NFL. The lockout was bad enough last year, but now we've got to lock out the refs? Are you kidding me? It boggles my mind how inconsiderate both of these parties can be. And it sounds a little spoiled, but you know what? The fans are allowed to be spoiled in these situations because of how terribly the NFL and I almost said wide receivers and the referees are handling this situation. I think that they need to finish it. They need to clear it up because fans are going to start tuning out. You know, those fans that just sort of watch the games but don't really care that much about the NFL. Those fans are going to start tuning out, and those are a lot of the fans. I mean, there are a lot of people who, are just casual fans, and those are the people that are going to stop watching, and those are some of the people that the NFL counts on. This is from John in Costa Mesa. What do you think about my Oakland Raiders? Well, I think the Raiders are very, very interesting. They don't have a lot of talent, but they do. I mean, they've got some promise. The thing about Oakland is that, you can say that they're a decent team, but I mean, who do the Raiders really have? They're decent. They're not. I mean, I don't mean to be talking about how bad the Raiders are, because I mean last year they were 7th in rushing yards, 11th in passing. I mean, that's not bad. But then you look at the defensive side of the ball, 27th in passing and 27th in rushing yards allowed. So that's pretty bad. I mean, the Raiders, they definitely need to figure some things out. I think that their offense isn't that bad. They need to figure some things out at wide receiver and at tight end, but Carson Palmer's a good quarterback. Carson Palmer's getting up there in years though. He's not the youngest guy. He's been playing for 10 years. So I think they will need to draft a rookie pretty soon. Darren McFadden, he's a very good back. And then they also have Tywan Jones, who's out of Eastern Washington, 2-year vet, and he's not a huge piece in their offense, but last year he averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He didn't have a touchdown. He wasn't a big piece, but he produced. He was helpful. Back to Carson Palmer. I think that acquiring him from Cincinnati, I think that was a pretty good move. But he's not their quarterback of the future, and that's who they need to find, because Carson Palmer isn't going to be around forever. He's got 3, maybe 4 years left before he's going to retire, and at which point then the Raiders are screwed. I mean, they've got unless they get somebody in the first round, and I think that they'll have a high draft pick this year. I mean they're not a playoff team, that's for sure. Simply because of their defense. Their defense is subpar. Like I said, 27th overall in the league last year in rushing yards allowed. Also 27th in passing yards allowed. In the preseason, they were 1 for 3, and I know that you can't really count the preseason, but you look at some of the scores. Their first preseason game against Dallas, they lost 3-0. Then Arizona, they kept it close but lost. They beat Detroit, but then the Seattle game, they also only scored a field goal. Only a field goal. So you've got to think about, I mean, sure, the Raiders have some talent.